Hello everyone, Johnny Hurricane here from GamerSerials.com, and today we're going to be going over why people decide to announce their games so early. Let's get started. Alright, so obviously it has been a little while since I've done one of these. It is winter in Michigan. You can see my lovely hellscape that I got to deal with for roughly 6 months out of the year. The lake is frozen over. In the summer it's great because you can swim. Winter not so much, and you got to deal with snow. Speaking of, if you hear this crunchy sound, that's me walking on snow, so just ignore it. Anyways, let's get into it. So this video's been coming for a while, quite frankly. The one that kind of like pushed me towards it was at the Game Awards when Mass Effect, new Mass Effects, next Mass Effects is coming, whatever, with no date, no real anything, and then Dragon Age still doesn't even have a release date. So that was kind of where I was like, maybe I should do one. And then obviously this week or last week, depending on when you're watching it, new Indiana Jones game was announced and a new Star Wars game was announced, and neither of those got a release date. So those are your, all right, let's get into it. Okay, let's start with Indiana Jones. This is being done by Machine Games. This is the guys that do Wolfenstein normally, a development branch under Bethesda, now under Microsoft. Forgive me, it's going to take me a little while to get used to that because it's been so freaking long. All right, so they are working on a Wolfenstein game. What's the problem with announcing this too early? Or why did they announce it too early is the real question. Well, Disney, which owns LucasArts, which owns obviously, not Wolfenstein, Indiana Jones, they're struggling like the rest of us. Their parks aren't open. Those are not cheap to maintain even when they're not being used. And of course, theaters are shut down. So they're looking to get extra revenue wherever they can, and this kind of thing will bump your stock up a bit. Okay, there's a game coming down for a popular franchise, right? Up, which of course will tie into Star Wars as well. But while this is true and it does work, there are problems with this. First and foremost is us, the lovely gamer, who now have these pie-in-the-sky ideas for what this Indiana Jones game could be, right? First thing I'm going to tell you is keep your expectations in check. I believe this needs to be a third-person game. I believe because you need to see Indiana Jones and because you got to use that whip and first-person whip action. Probably not going to work too good. I wish I had a whip. I got the hat, but I don't. Anyways, there's a couple of problems with this. First and foremost, Wolfenstein is a first-person game. It always has been. So the Machine Games guys don't really have third-person stuff on lockdown. They're under the umbrella of Microsoft, so there could be some help brought in, like, hey, Microsoft develops third-person shooters, obviously. They have Killzone, or not Killzone, geez, wow. They have Gears. They also have Crackdown, but let's not use those guys. And they have Fable, which isn't a third-person shooter, but you know what I'm saying. They have the talent. Bethesda does do third-person, but that's like, you can go third-person in Fallout and Elder Scrolls, right? Like, you can. It looks janky as hell, but you can. So let's hope they bring in someone that actually can make it a good third-person game. The other problem is, as I said, we are now developing this game in our heads. Is this going to be a Indiana Jones in his prime game? Is this going to be older Indy? Is this going to be tied to the new film that's been rumored or that's coming? I don't know. I didn't really look it up because I'm not the biggest Indiana Jones fan. What's going on? Well, I'd like to assume because Machine Games is known for Nazi killing, Wolfenstein is for Nazi killing, that it's going to be, after prime Indiana Jones, the first 3 movies or whatever. But then again, with LucasArts and Disney being involved, who knows? It could be. You could be playing Shia LaBeouf for all we know, but that won't happen. But I'm just saying hypothetically, it could happen. Something like that could happen. Ideally, you'd have the likeness of Indiana Jones. You're not getting the voice, but that's all right. You don't need the voice. And yeah, that's again, see, I'm already thinking what I think it should be. I don't know what it's going to be, and the problem lies in that. When we have this much time to ruminate, I don't even know if that's the right word, to think about what this game is going to be, our expectations grow. We saw that recently with Cyberpunk. Our expectations grew, and they just couldn't match them. Well, maybe they could have if they didn't get the game forced out. But my point is, this game probably isn't coming till 2022 or 2023 at the earliest. Like I said, likely 2023 is what I'm thinking. They're also known for more of like linear corridor shooting type of games. Sorry if I bumped the mic there. And not the open world type of game that I would expect from an Indiana Jones game. Now, obviously Bethesda has plenty of open world games. It's just that Machine Games has not really specialized. They do have open environments, but they don't have the big scope that you'd want for this type of game. Then again, if it is a smaller scope game, it does come out sooner, so there is that. We'll see. My point is that this game was just announced way too early. Why'd they do it again? Because they have their stock. And of course they want to show that their new gaming branch of LucasArts, Lucasfilms, whatever you want to call it, which was around for a while, went away, now it's back again. They really just can't decide what they want to do. Like, yeah, here we are, yeah. I don't know, we'll see how it goes. I'm okay with this because I don't really like Wolfenstein. Doom to me is like rock and roll. It's like hardcore. You go in there, you kill demons, they explode guts everywhere. Wolfenstein is just like, you can't really attribute it to anything outside of killing Nazis, and like I do that. I've done that in so many games, so many different Call of Duty, so many different games in general, Nazi zombies, and it's just, it's getting kind of old. But if I'm doing it with a whip, yeah, you know, I'll pay attention at least. Now let's head into Star Wars. This is a little different. This is being developed by Massive, the guys that do The Division over at Ubisoft. This one I like. This is at the earliest a 2023 game because for those of you that aren't aware, EA currently holds exclusive rights to Star Wars video games. This is why we do not see very many Star Wars games, is because EA just cannot put them out fast enough, and if they do, they're Battlefront or Fallen Order, which Fallen Order was fantastic, don't get me wrong, but that came out in 2018, I think, and they got the contract in 2013. It took them 5 years to do that for one Jedi game. 5 years for one Jedi game is unacceptable. Disney has obviously learned that, and they're not going to be re-upping the contract with EA, which is great for everyone. This is fantastic. If you're a Star Wars fan, even the slightest, you will get more Star Wars games. That's good. Now, the question is, Massive developing it. This is, as I said, the Division team, which most likely means blasters, pew pew pew, probably not lightsabers. Again, here I am developing the game in my head because I'm going to go ahead and say it. Perfect for a Mandalorian game. 4 Mandalorians going out on bounty hunters. Division's a 4-player co-op game. I don't see why not. I don't know if you hear these guys, but they're going crazy out there. They're ice fishing and probably drinking, but hey, it is what it is. But anyways, a Mandalorian game fit perfectly, and obviously this is very, very hype right now. Mandalorian, Baby Yoda, it's everywhere. So I don't see why it wouldn't be that game, but it could just as easily be something. It's starting to rain, actually, isn't it? Yeah. It could totally just be something where it's like the Division reskinned, except in Star Wars universe, and you go to a few different planets and you blast people with blasters. Could totally be that. But my point is, we're currently starting to develop all these different games, and in our heads, that probably aren't going to match what the final product becomes. And that's where the issue lies, is that we have very, 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 very high expectations, and if you don't meet those expectations, boy, we let you know. And the other problem is that when you put a hard date of 2023 on it, if you miss that date, which is totally possible with the way the world is right now, stocks actually go down, which is the exact opposite of what you want. So the ideal situation here is that you do what Capcom does, to an extent. Pragmata's coming in 2023, they announced that way too early. But for the most part, they're really good at this. You got Monster Hunter World, I believe roughly a year after that was announced, it launched. You got Resident Evil 7, Resident Evil 2 Remake, Resident Evil 3 Remake. All of these are kind of smaller scope games, but you got like an 6 to 8 month window from announcement to release. That is what you want. And then, as I said, they are smaller scope, so it's a little easier to do that. But at the same time, Bethesda actually has done this with Fallout 4. If you recall, it was announced, we knew it was coming, but it was announced in June and then released in November, October or November, one of the two. But the point is, it was only about a 6-month gap, and that is what you want. Roughly, you do not want to announce your game any less than a year away, because even then, if you get a delay, it's not that bad, right? But if a game is announced for 2022, let's just use an example, and you push it to 2023, okay, that's not a good look already, but at the same time, 2023 is a long time. You could push it even further into 2023. They do this to up their share, to up their influence, so people think that they're valued higher, but if they don't deliver, it ultimately bites them in the ass, and they lose share, they lose stock. So it's not a good idea. We just had this problem literally with one of the biggest games ever, Cyberpunk 2077. they pushed it out and they kept delaying it and refused to delay it any further, and it just crashed and burned. We saw their stock. It was at one point over Ubisoft stock, and Ubisoft stock's very high, and now I haven't looked at it, but it's dipped a considerable amount. Everybody seems to think they are bigger than these other corporations that do the same exact thing and fail the exact same way over and over. Now, granted, Disney is a much bigger corporation, but I do want to show you another example that was Disney, and that is Square Enix and Avengers. We got this trailer, a reveal trailer. It had like Cap's shield like kind of cracked, Iron Man helmet cracked, Thor's hammer broke or whatever, and we heard nothing for it for like 2 years, already speculating what this game's gonna be. Co-op, loot driven. Yeah, I'm gonna be playing all the Avengers. Is it? Yeah, no, it's not just the 4 Avengers, and it wasn't, to be fair. Kamala was there as well. But you know what I'm saying? We got all these high expectations, and the game comes out and it just under delivers. It just does. It's what happened. And it's sold well enough, but it's dying very fast. Like, players on PC can't find teams already. I don't know about the PlayStation 4 and Xbox versions. I haven't played it since it came out, and I have no intention of going back. But again, I don't know. It's just, they're not learning from these things. So it's gonna keep happening. It is silly. Speaking of Mass Effect and Dragon Age and BioWare, where the hell is Anthem 2.0 launch? That's been 2 years almost. So what's going on? These guys don't know. So they're just gonna try and put a big fake smile on and push games out like, yeah, it's coming, don't worry. EA really doesn't need to do this because they have annual franchises. This is silly that they would even put Mass Effect out there before Dragon Age has a concrete date. But again, they just don't learn, so we're gonna keep doing it over and over and over and over and over. It annoys me to no end, but hey, it is what it is. I'm obviously not in charge, or else this stuff wouldn't be happening. But anyways, so yeah, it's the race stock. That's only going to lower when they delay the game anyways. So Indiana Jones game, like I said, they're both probably 2023, Indiana Jones and the Star Wars massive shooter game. We'll see what happens. I do wish both the teams the best of luck. I really am not a fan of Wolfenstein, as I said, so a Indiana Jones game, like if it could become a series that they work on that is good, I'm cool with that. Like for Indiana Jones, I am like looking at an 8, like an 8 out of 10, I'm cool with that. Star Wars is probably more like an 8.5, 9 is what we would expect, but again, if it's a Division style game, it'll probably be an 8, and people won't be too upset at that as long as it works, so there is that. But anyways, Ubisoft has, I'm not gonna get into this because we go on a tangent, but Ubisoft has its own problems to deal with as well. But that'll do it for me. If you liked what you saw and got what you needed, like, comment, subscribe. Let's try to do these videos a little more often, but hey, people gotta do stuff that's silly for me to do it. So, see you guys in the next video. Later, Gators.